You know, I found Randall, right? He turned, but he wasn't bit.
How's that possible?
Like, what the hell happened?
We're all infected.
What?
But the CDC, Jenner told me. Whatever it is, we all carry it.
Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another Walking Dead discussion video. Today we're going to be talking about a main theory of mine when it comes to Season 9 of The Walking Dead. So, a lot of people know that Andrew Lincoln's Rick Grimes is leaving this season, and although they're still trying to keep that stuff as far away from the public as possible, they're not going to want to give away exactly how Rick Grimes actually leaves The Walking Dead. We're all pretty sure at this point that Rick Grimes is going to die during Season 9 because there's very little out there that would suggest that Rick would actually leave Michonne or Judith or any of the other people in these communities that they built over the last couple years. And really, unless it kind of becomes the main fan theory about what Rick is, whether or not he is the cure for the zombie apocalypse, and then he simply decides that he's going to leave everyone involved because he has to find whoever can help him, whether it's the people in the helicopter or anything like that. That's the only reason I and a lot of other people can come up with that would be a logical explanation as to why he leaves everyone that he's been leading over the course of the last couple of years. But what if they do something kind of in the same vein as that, but a little different, and give us the same kind of hope and feeling of joy that finding out that Rick is actually the cure of the zombie apocalypse as they would give us if Rick actually survived, but if Rick would actually die in the process of whatever attack or anything that actually kills him. And really what I'm getting at here is in the first couple seasons of The Walking Dead, we didn't know as the core audience, unless you were kind of keeping up with the comic books at the time, that no matter whether you got bit or scratched or anything else like that, if you simply died, you would come back as a walker, you'd come back as a zombie, and there was no way of getting around that. Every single person on the face of the earth was infected. That is the working knowledge that we've had from The Walking Dead ever since Season 2 and even a couple episodes into Season 3, because a couple of our core characters even now didn't know up until that time. So what if we just simply flip that on its head going forward in the future with Rick Grimes dying, not from a walker bite, not from anything else like that. The prevailing fan theory right now is that he's going to get stabbed or shot by a whisperer, and that's going to be the introduction of the whisperers. So he falls into a coma, or he simply just dies a peaceful death somewhere in Alexandria or one of the other communities, and yet he doesn't ever turn into a zombie. In fact, because Michonne or Judith or Maggie or Daryl or Carol or anybody else from the beginning of the show, they followed this guy. They can't simply put a knife or bullet through his head. He is too important to them, so they just let him sit there for long, and he dies by himself, or he allows himself to die and doesn't actually turn into a zombie. I think that would give everyone in the show and also the fandom a semblance of hope that maybe there's just a chance that not every single one of the characters that we've been following this whole time is infected, and that's not the world that we're actually living in. In fact, there's a small group of human beings there who are somehow immune to the virus, and there's no way of actually knowing that. I mean, they can't scientifically prove who's immune and who's not, so you still have the characters afraid of getting bit. You still have the main drama pulling its weight throughout the entirety of the series, but they have that idea that there is a way around this. The main people who are immune to this are going to survive because that's the dominant trait after a while, and as much as they purge the people who are not immune to the whole zombie apocalypse. So that's really what I would do if I was the one making Season 9. If Rick Grimes has to leave the show and he has to die in order to make it make sense and to actually explain why he's going to leave Michonne and Judith and all of these communities, then have him simply die. Don't have him get bit. Don't have him figure out a way around everything or even leave the show. Just have him simply die a peaceful death and not come back as a walker. I think that would be equally as tragic and hopeful as they could go with, and it would really shake up the dynamic of the show that we've been following for the last 5 seasons. Like I said, this realization that every single character we've been following is infected hasn't been there for the entire show. It's only been there for about 5 whole seasons where everyone we know has understood and appreciated that fact of life. If Rick is the one who breaks that and is completely different from the reality that we've been following over the last 5 years, I think that would be shocking for everyone involved and would have set this show on a completely different path, even if it doesn't have to shake the entire status quo. So that's the way I would take Rick out, is simply let him die in peace and no one has to take him out, thus shaking up the entirety of The Walking Dead and everything that we know thus far, making his character that much more important. So guys, what are your thoughts on this? Tell me in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. It's been real.